Snow fell in slow, deliberate spirals over the quiet streets of Greenwich, Connecticut. The estate on Willow Crest Drive stood like a palace carved from winter itself, its tall windows glowing amber against the blue-black sky, its stone steps brushed clean by an automated heating system beneath the pavement. Inside, everything gleamed. The marble floors reflected the light of a 15-foot Christmas tree imported from Vermont. Crystal ornaments shimmered. Gold ribbons cascaded like frozen waterfalls. Soft instrumental carols played through a hidden surround sound system designed by engineers from Bose Corporation. It was flawless. It was lifeless. Daniel Harrington, CEO of one of the fastest-growing AI infrastructure firms in the country, stood by the massive bay window overlooking the snow-covered garden. His company had recently been featured in Forbes as one of the top 50 companies to watch. His net worth had tripled in 5 years. And yet tonight, on Christmas Eve, his phone was silent. No family dinner invitation, no last-minute party, no laughter echoing down hallways. Only the soft ticking of a Swiss wall clock. Daniel had built his life on discipline. He believed in structure, in routine, in habits. Wake at subah ke 5 baje. Gym by 5 se 30. Emails by 6 se 15. Meetings until dusk. Review financial forecasts before bed. Success was not magic, he often told his executives. It was repetition. What he never admitted was that loneliness could also become repetition. He had not spent Christmas with his sister in 7 years. Not because of conflict, but because there was always something urgent. Investors from Goldman Sachs. Expansion talks in San Francisco. A keynote in New York City. Work had become his safest habit. The doorbell rang. The sound startled him. No one rang the bell anymore. Deliveries used side entrances. Friends texted. He opened the door to find a young woman standing beneath the porch light. Snow clung to her dark hair. Her coat was thin, practical, but not made for storms like this. Mr. Harrington, she asked carefully. Yes, I'm Elena Morris. The agency sent me this week to cover for Mrs. Dalton. He remembered vaguely approving the paperwork. I was finishing up early, but the buses stopped running. I tried calling the agency. They said they couldn't reach you. Daniel glanced past her into the swelling snow. The roads were nearly invisible. I can wait in the servants' quarters, she added quickly. Just until morning. The word servants' quarters hit him strangely. The mansion had been designed decades ago, before he purchased and renovated it. He had kept the architecture, but never questioned what it symbolized. Behind him stretched ek char safar square feet of heated emptiness. In front of him stood someone trying not to shiver. Can you stay for one night? He heard himself say. Elena blinked. Sir, there are guest rooms. It would be impractical for you to attempt traveling tonight. He almost added, it would be bad for liability reasons. But he didn't. She stepped inside, brushing snow from her boots. The door closed, and the house, somehow, felt different. Elena moved cautiously, as if afraid to disturb the silence. Her eyes drifted upward toward the chandelier. It's beautiful, she whispered. Daniel nodded. Interior designers from Manhattan handled the renovations. She studied the towering tree. Did you decorate it with family? No. A design firm. There it was again, that word that replaced people. Firm, agency, board, team. Elena didn't comment. Instead, she walked toward the kitchen, instinctively straightening a stack of mail. You're done, tea need to work, Daniel said. I know, she smiled. But when I'm nervous, I clean. It's a habit. Habit. The word lingered. What makes you nervous? He asked. She hesitated. Big houses. Important people. He gave a humorless laugh. You'll find most important people are simply tired. She tilted her head slightly. Of what? He didn't answer. Later, as the storm intensified, Elena asked permission to cook something simple. There's prepared food in the refrigerator, Daniel said. I saw, she replied gently. But homemade food feels warmer. He allowed it. Soon, the sterile scent of expensive candles was replaced by garlic sizzling in olive oil. Fresh bread warmed in the oven. Steam rose from a pot of soup. Daniel stood in the doorway of the kitchen, watching. No presentation, no perfection, just hands working steadily. You're done, tea have family tonight? He asked. My grandmother passed last spring, Elena said softly. She raised me. Every Christmas, she insisted we invite someone who had nowhere to go. Daniel shifted his weight. And did people come? Almost always. He swallowed. For 10 years, he had declined invitations. Because travel was inconvenient. Because work mattered more. Because vulnerability felt inefficient. They carried 2 plates to the grand dining table built to seat 20. The emptiness of the other 18 chairs pressed in on him. Halfway through the meal, the lights flickered. Then darkness swallowed the room. For a split second, Daniel's instinct surged, call maintenance, check generators, fix it immediately. Instead, he heard the soft scratch of a match. Elena lit a candle. Then another. Warm, trembling light filled the room. Without electricity, the mansion lost its sharpness. The edges softened. The marble no longer gleamed coldly. Shadows danced across the walls. It's kind of peaceful, she said. Daniel looked around. He had spent millions creating a perfect environment. Yet this imperfect moment felt more real. They moved to the living room, sitting closer to the fireplace for warmth. Why don't you have family here? Elena asked carefully. He exhaled slowly. My sister lives in Boston. We drifted. I was busy building the company. And now I suppose I'm good at building companies. Silence settled, not awkward, but reflective. You could call her, Elena said gently. It's late. She'd probably still answer. Daniel stared into the fire. His old habit whispered, tomorrow. After the holidays, when things slow down. But things never slowed down. The power remained out. The Wi-Fi router was useless. For the first time in years, Daniel had no access to email. No charts, no urgent notifications, only the crackling fire and the presence of another human being in the room. He realized something unsettling. Without work, he did not know what to do. Without productivity, he felt unanchored. Elena broke the silence. My grandmother used to say habits are like snow, she murmured. Each one seems small, but over time, they change the shape of everything. Daniel watched the snow piling against the windows. He thought of the countless small choices he had made. One missed dinner, one postponed visit, one ignored call, accumulated over years. He had built an empire, and accidentally constructed isolation. The clock ticked softly in the darkness. For the first time in a decade, Daniel did not reach for his laptop before bed. He did not check global markets. He did not scroll through reports. Instead, he extinguished the candles one by one. Good night, Elena, he said quietly. Good night, Mr. Harrington. As he walked upstairs, the mansion no longer felt like a monument to success. It felt like a question waiting to be answered. And somewhere beneath layers of routine and ambition, a new habit, fragile but possible, began to form. The habit of choosing connection. The habit of opening the door. Morning sunlight burst through the tall windows of the mansion, bouncing off the snow like scattered diamonds. The storm had passed. The world looked freshly washed, bright, alive, almost expectant. Daniel Harrington woke to a sound he hadn't heard inside these walls in years. Laughter. Not the polite chuckle of business partners. Not the forced humor of corporate dinners. Real laughter. He sat up in bed, confused for a moment, before remembering Elena. He threw on a sweater and walked downstairs. In the living room, Elena stood on the tips of her toes, trying to fix a crooked star at the top of the Christmas tree. Careful, Daniel said instinctively. She turned, slightly embarrassed. Sorry, I didn't want to leave it uneven. It bothered me. He surprised himself by smiling. You were allowed to let things be imperfect. She grinned. Not on Christmas. That energy, bright, unfiltered, filled the space. The house felt awake. For the first time in years, Daniel didn't check his phone first thing in the morning. That alone felt revolutionary. Coffee? Elena asked. I'll make it, he replied quickly. She blinked in surprise. You, I do know how, he said, mock offended. They stood side by side in the kitchen. No assistants, no staff, just two people pouring coffee while sunlight spilled across marble counters. Daniel noticed something strange. He felt lighter. As they sat near the fireplace, Elena hesitated before speaking. I was supposed to volunteer this morning, she said softly. At a community shelter downtown. They serve breakfast to people who don't have families nearby. The old Daniel would have nodded politely. The old Daniel would have said, that's admirable. Then he would have retreated to his office. But something inside him had shifted overnight. Do they need help? He asked suddenly. Elena's eyes widened. You mean, you want to come? He shrugged, trying to appear casual. I don't have plans. That wasn't entirely true. He had always had plans. He just never had people. An hour later, the CEO whose company had been praised by Forbes for record-breaking growth stood inside a modest brick building downtown, wearing an apron that said, Community Kitchen Volunteer. The shelter wasn't glamorous. Folding tables, plastic chairs, simple decorations taped to the walls. But it was full. Families, elderly men, young mothers, veterans, and something else, warmth. Daniel hesitated at first, unsure where to stand. He wasn't used to being the smallest presence in a room. Elena handed him a large metal coffee container. You are in charge of refills. Refills, he repeated, as if accepting a corporate assignment. The first person he served was an elderly man with tired eyes. Thank you, the man said sincerely. Daniel nodded awkwardly. Then a little boy approached, no older than 6, gripping an empty cup with both hands. Mister, is this hot chocolate? Daniel bent slightly to meet his eyes. It is. Best Christmas ever, the boy shouted before running back to his mother. Daniel froze. Best Christmas ever. Because of hot chocolate. Because someone showed up. He felt something tighten in his chest. For years, he had believed impact was measured in revenue. Now he was seeing something different. Impact could be immediate, human, simple. He worked for 2 hours straight, pouring drinks, handing out plates, wiping tables. No one there cared about his title. No one knew the value of his stock portfolio. They just knew he was present. And strangely, that felt better than applause at a shareholders meeting. On the drive back to the mansion, silence filled the car again, but this time it hummed with energy. You didn't have to do that, Elena said gently. Yes, Daniel replied. I did. He stared at the road ahead, sunlight flashing across the windshield. I built my life on habits, he admitted. Wake early, work hard, win, repeat. That's not bad, Elena said. No, he agreed. But somewhere along the way, I formed another habit. What's that? Choosing work over people. Every time. The words surprised him. He had never said them out loud. Elena didn't judge. She simply listened. My sister used to invite me every Christmas, he continued. I always said next year. And now, he inhaled deeply. Now I'm tired of next year. When they arrived home, Daniel didn't walk toward his office. Instead, he stood in the foyer holding his phone. Old habit. Check emails. See what the world needs from you. New impulse. Call someone who needs you. His thumb hovered over his sister's name. He hadn't spoken to her in months. What if she was cold? What if she had moved on? He pressed call anyway. 3 rings. Daniel. Her voice carried surprise and caution. Merry Christmas, he said, his voice unsteady. I was wondering if you and the kids would like to come over next week. I'd really like to see you. There was a pause. Then, we'd love that. Simple, warm, immediate. After he hung up, he let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Elena watched quietly from across the room. You look different, she said. How? Lighter. Daniel laughed softly. I feel awake. Outside, snow slid from the roof in soft thuds, melting under the rising sun. For years, Daniel had believed power came from control. From dominance. From numbers climbing higher. But today he felt a different kind of power. The power to choose differently. The power to break a pattern. The power of habit, redirected. He turned to Elena. Thank you, he said sincerely. For what? For missing your bus. She laughed. And the sound no longer echoed through an empty house. It filled it. That Christmas, Daniel Harrington still had his wealth. His company. His success. But he gained something he had unknowingly lost. Presence. Connection. Courage. And a new habit. One small choice at a time. To never spend Christmas alone again.